It's a joy to be with you on this Thursday, and today I'd like to go to the New Testament, 1 Timothy chapter 2. This chapter really is a helpful chapter in regard to our approach to praying for those that are in authority, and then how we should approach worship as God's people. Instructions for men, and then instructions for women that are very up to date. And if we would follow that, I believe we'd have much more freedom and power in our services. But I want to just pull out one verse, and that's verse 8 of chapter 2 of 1 Timothy. I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. A lot in that one verse. Here we have the Spirit of God saying that men ought to be in a spirit of prayer. And when they come into the assembly, they are ready to be a blessing spiritually and to lead spiritually. And they need to come up with holy hands. We are living in a very impure day, and it's getting worse and worse. The accessibility of technology has put us into a category that's totally different than the first half of my ministry. I just can't believe it, and certainly different than ages before. But men have been wicked all the way along. It's been one way or the other. But when it comes to the matter of true prayer, there's got to be that matter of being set apart to the Lord, consecrated to Him, and have hands that are the Lord's. They are sanctified. They are for His purpose. And so men need to come with a heart for God, not at all defeated in the areas that would be unholy, impure. And they also need to come without wrath. Can't have bitterness, can't have anger, can't have resentment toward someone, or doubting, unbelief. Not believing that God can deliver and work. As I said, that one verse, you could unpack and preach on that for several different sessions because it is very, very important. But the point that I want to make here is that we need to have services, we need to have get-togethers of God's people to pray that are powerful. But there's got to be holy hands. There's got to be a heart that's not bitter. There's got to be a spirit that is not doubting, is not in unbelief, not really believing that God can work. If we're going to see God work in our lives, we need to come prepared to our prayer meetings to really know that God is going to do a great work. In fact, one of the reasons there are so few prayer meetings in churches today is that men know this inherently. If their lives are not right, they really don't want to be at a prayer meeting. If there's something in their heart, they really don't want to be at a prayer meeting. And the flesh can have the upper hand. If there isn't a real belief that it's going to matter whether or not you pray, well, why bother with it? It's a real indictment upon our churches and our own lives today in that prayer is not a central focus of our ministries. But I believe these really get down to the core issues. Now, how can this be an encouragement? Well, the encouragement is be honest with God and pray with somebody else with a heart that you know is right with God, and He'll lift you up. If you're humble before Him, He's promised to lift you up. And you will find the joy of uniting your heart with others and asking God to work, and then to see God intervene on your behalf. Encouragement comes when we know the presence of God. So I encourage you to look at that verse. That's a verse every believer needs to memorize. And may God give us that kind of heart every time we go to church so that we can be a blessing to the people that are around us as we come in and have a heart that is in tune with the Lord.